You may not realize it yet, but you are standing closer to victory than your doubts would ever allow you to believe. Most people imagine winning as a distant horizon, something that requires years of toil before even the faintest glimpse of progress appears. But life does not operate according to such linear illusions. Often the signs that breakthrough is near are hidden in struggle, disguised in fatigue, camouflaged in the very moments when you are tempted to quit. The first law you must write down and repeat is this: the darker the night, the nearer the dawn. Failure does not always signal the end. In truth, it is frequently the last obstacle guarding the treasure chest of your success. And if you feel worn down, misunderstood, or isolated, you may be closer to the finish line than you have ever been, because only those on the brink of transformation experience such resistance. Look back across history, and you will find this principle engraved in the stories of every great achiever. Before Edison perfected the light bulb, he endured 1,000 attempts that seemed like wasted effort to those watching from the outside. Before Lincoln was elected president, he was defeated in more races than most men could bear without surrender. Before Colonel Sanders shared his recipe with the world, he was rejected over 1,000 times by disinterested restaurant owners who could not see the value in his vision. What do these stories reveal? Not that they were geniuses immune to failure, but that they kept moving when failure whispered that it was over. The closer you are to winning, the more discouragement tries to deceive you. Resistance increases as you approach the target, just as a runner feels the greatest exhaustion in the final stretch of the race. Here is a lie you must root out of your mind. If life is hard, it means you are losing. That belief has poisoned millions of dreams and crippled countless lives. The truth is the opposite. Difficulty is evidence of proximity. Hardship is the companion of the winner, not the loser. Think of it as the toll you must pay on the road to greatness. If you meet no resistance, it may be because you are not moving. The storm is not a curse. It is proof that you are sailing forward while others drift. Write this down and repeat it. Resistance is proof of progress. Say it now and say it aloud so it ingrains itself within you. Resistance is proof of progress. Whenever you feel discouraged, let those words be your compass, reminding you that the very pressure you feel is shaping you into someone capable of holding the reward. You must also recognize the subtle signs within yourself. Do you feel restless, as though you cannot settle for mediocrity anymore? Do you find your old excuses unbearable to live with? Do you sense an inner urgency pushing you forward even when the world tells you to stop? These are not random feelings. They are indicators that you are evolving, that your spirit knows you are outgrowing your current shell, that you are nearing the doorway to the next level. A seed cracks open before it becomes a tree. It must break apart. It must lose its form. It must endure the darkness of the soil before it reaches for light. Many mistake that cracking as destruction, when in fact it is the beginning of growth. If you feel broken, it may be because life is preparing you to bloom. But here's the dangerous truth no one admits. Most people quit right before the bloom. They give up when the pressure is greatest, not realizing that the very weight crushing them is the sign that something inside is about to burst forth. They surrender not because they are incapable, but because they misread the signals. They confuse delay with denial. They confuse struggle with failure. And they confuse exhaustion with finality, when in fact exhaustion is the body's way of whispering, "You are almost there, hold on a little longer." Tonight, I want you to take a sheet of paper and write in bold letters this declaration: delay is not denial. Read it when you wake. Read it before you sleep. And if you believe it, write it in the comments. Delay is not denial. Another sign that you are closer than you think is the opposition of others. Strange as it sounds, criticism is often the herald of victory. When people begin to mock you, when they gossip behind your back, when they raise their eyebrows at your persistence, it is usually because your progress has threatened their comfort. Remember, no one throws stones at a barren tree. They only throw them at trees heavy with fruit. If you feel the sting of ridicule, you may already be bearing the fruit of potential that others can see but you cannot. So do not curse the mockers, and do not be discouraged by their noise. Their voices are evidence that you are making noise in the universe. Their opposition is the shadow cast by the light of your advancement. Let us confront another false belief, that success is supposed to feel easy. This lie has destroyed more dreams than outright failure. We are conditioned to think that if something is truly meant for us, it will unfold without pain, without obstacles, without sweat. But that is not the law of the universe. Gold does not lie on the surface, waiting to be scooped up. It must be mined, refined, and purified through fire. Diamonds are not born polished, they are formed under pressure. If your journey feels difficult, remember that you are in the refining stage, and what is refining you is also preparing to define you. Write this in your notes and declare it aloud. I am being refined for my victory. That phrase, if repeated daily, will strengthen your spirit and silence the lies that whisper you are too late or too weak. A practical step you can take tonight is simple but transformative. Write down 3 struggles you are facing right now. Then beside each struggle, write what lesson it might be teaching you. This act shifts your mind from victimhood to victory, from complaint to wisdom. You will discover that the very obstacles you cursed are the building blocks of your destiny. Do this daily for a week, and you will find your perception changing. You will no longer see your difficulties as evidence of defeat, but as stepping stones carrying you closer to the summit. Let me leave you with one more engraved law for this part. Success hides behind struggle. Say it aloud with me now, and if you believe it, write it on your page in large letters. Success hides behind struggle. This is not a slogan. It is the very pattern of life, the law that governs growth, the truth that separates winners from the defeated. And every time you repeat it, you remind yourself that your struggles are not in vain. They are the surest signs that victory is closer than it appears. Remember, the pressure you feel is not your enemy. It is your announcement. It is life telling you you are on the verge of breakthrough. The moment you begin to sense frustration, impatience, or even despair rising within you, understand this vital truth: you are standing on the threshold of change. Most people interpret these emotions as signals to stop, to retreat, or to abandon their pursuit. But the wise recognize them as birth pains, the final contractions before new life arrives. Consider how a climber feels when approaching the summit of a mountain. The air grows thin, the body trembles, the mind screams for relief. Yet if the climber stops there, he will never see the view waiting just a few steps higher. Victory demands that you press beyond the discomfort, because discomfort is not proof of failure, it is proof that you are ascending. Here is a dangerous lie that has been whispered into countless minds. If it hurts, it is wrong. That is not true. The greatest things you will ever experience in life are on the far side of discomfort. Building muscle tears the fibers before they grow back stronger. Learning stretches the brain to the edge of frustration before clarity arrives. Growth always costs energy, and those who misinterpret the pain miss the treasure. When you feel the heaviness of effort, when your patience wears thin, when your progress seems invisible, repeat this to yourself: I am being stretched for strength. Say it aloud and write it in bold letters, because your spirit must learn to welcome the pain of growth as a signpost pointing you toward victory. Another sign that you are closer than you think is that doors begin to narrow. At the start of any journey, many paths seem open, but as you advance, life begins to strip away the unnecessary, forcing you to focus. It may feel like options are shrinking, that friends are leaving, that opportunities are closing. Do not mistake this as loss. It is concentration. Just as sunlight becomes powerful when focused through a magnifying glass, your life becomes unstoppable when your distractions are burned away. The narrowing of options is not punishment, it is alignment. It is life saying, this is your path, walk it with courage. Tonight, look at what is falling away, and instead of mourning it, ask yourself what clarity it is giving you. That question will transform your fear of loss into gratitude for guidance. But here is the secret no one wants to admit. Clarity often feels lonely. The crowd will celebrate you when you drift with them, but the moment you decide to rise, the noise begins to fade. Friends who once cheered for you fall silent. Acquaintances you thought were loyal grow distant. Do not let this discourage you. It is the loneliness of ascent. Remember, there is less oxygen at the top, because fewer climb so high. If you feel isolated, do not assume you are failing. More likely, you are climbing higher than most would dare. Write this law down and engrave it in your mind. Loneliness is the price of elevation. Say it with me. Loneliness is the price of elevation. If you can bear it, you will reach places most people never see. One of the clearest signs of nearing victory is when your old habits begin to feel unbearable. The pleasures that once distracted you no longer satisfy. The excuses that once pacified you now sound hollow. The mediocrity you once tolerated now feels suffocating. That is not restlessness for its own sake. It is transformation. A snake outgrows its skin before it sheds. You are outgrowing patterns that no longer match the person you are becoming. Do not resist this discomfort. Lean into it. Ask yourself daily, what behavior no longer belongs to me? Write it down and commit to leaving it behind, because the shedding of old skin is the proof of new life ahead. Another signal of approaching success is the emergence of opportunities disguised as obstacles. A problem arises at work and you are asked to solve it. A challenge appears in your finances, forcing you to innovate. A crisis disrupts your plans, but hidden within it is the seed of a breakthrough. Many curse these interruptions and retreat, but the wise understand that problems are opportunities in work clothes. The bigger the obstacle, the bigger the door it conceals. If you find yourself surrounded by problems, take heart. It may be that life is presenting you with the very stage on which you will win. Write this declaration: every problem hides an opportunity. Say it aloud until you feel it in your bones, because when you see obstacles differently, you unlock the path others are blind to. Let me give you a simple action to take right now. Tonight, on a blank page, write down every problem currently weighing on you. Then, beside each one, write the question: what opportunity might be hidden here? Do not stop until you find at least one possibility for each. This exercise transforms your mind from complaint into creativity. It reprograms your subconscious to see doors instead of walls. And if you practice it daily, you will begin to feel a shift: less fear, more vision, less anxiety, more control. That is how winners think, and it is how you will discover that you are much closer to your victory than you have imagined. One more law for this part: pressure means potential. Repeat it now. Write it down. Declare it until it sinks deep into your spirit. Pressure does not exist to break you. It exists to reveal you. Diamonds are born only under immense pressure, and the pressure you feel today is a declaration from life that you are becoming more than you were yesterday. Believe it, hold on to it, and carry it with you as you climb. Because when you remember that pressure means potential, you will never again misread the signals that you are on the verge of winning. One of the greatest signs that you are closer to winning than you think is the sudden appearance of doubt so loud it shakes your very core. Doubt has a peculiar way of growing fiercest at the edge of breakthrough. Like the howling of wind before the storm clears, it screams to convince you to turn back just before the clouds part. You may even hear it whisper lies such as, "You are not ready, you are not good enough, you are too far behind, or you have already missed your chance." These are not truths. They are the last defense of mediocrity, trying desperately to pull you back into its grip. Understand this: the strength of doubt is often the clearest indicator that the wall of limitation is about to collapse. When you feel its grip tightening, you are closer than ever to freedom. But here is the subtle trick of doubt that most never catch. It dresses itself as logic. It will tell you it is being rational, that you are simply protecting yourself from disappointment, that you are being realistic. Yet what it is really doing is blinding you to the progress you have already made. Doubt thrives on amnesia. It wants you to forget the battles you have already fought, the nights you stayed up learning, the mornings you forced yourself to keep going, the obstacles you already conquered. This is why you must write things down. Keep a record of your victories, no matter how small. Tonight, take a sheet of paper and write down 5 moments in your life when you overcame something you thought you could not. That is how you arm yourself against doubt, with proof. Your proof is your weapon. Another unmistakable sign of being near your victory is when temptation grows stronger. The closer you are to achieving something great, the more distractions appear to lure you off course. Opportunities you once longed for but have nothing to do with your true goal suddenly arrive, trying to seduce you into detours. Old habits you thought you buried re-emerge, whispering just one more time. The phone call, the party, the shortcut, the easy way out, they multiply at the exact moment you are gaining traction. Do not be fooled. This is the test. The universe tests your readiness not by asking if you want the prize, but by asking if you are willing to reject what no longer belongs to you. Write this law down. Temptation multiplies near breakthrough. Say it out loud and let it anchor you. Every distraction resisted is a step closer to destiny. And yet another sign, often overlooked, is the quiet stirring of vision within you. You begin to see glimpses of your future self. You catch yourself imagining conversations, opportunities, and victories that have not yet arrived. The dream becomes vivid, almost tangible. That is not fantasy. It is foresight. The mind begins to receive signals of where you are headed before the body arrives. Vision precedes reality. Pay close attention to these inner flashes. They are previews of your own future, urging you to keep moving. Write them down, sketch them out, say them aloud. Every time you affirm your vision, you are pulling it closer into the realm of reality. Say this declaration with me now. I am walking toward the life I have already seen. But let me warn you of the false belief that ruins many at this stage, the belief that vision alone is enough. Too many people mistake inspiration for completion. They feel the rush of imagination and assume the work is done. They dream without discipline, and in doing so, they abort their victory before it is born. Vision is the compass, but action is the journey. To stop at vision is to die of thirst with a map in your hand. So take the visions you are being given and pair them with steps you can take today. Small actions repeated consistently will turn foresight into hindsight. That is the path of those who win. Another powerful sign you are closer to success than you realize is the increase of inner conflict. You feel two voices battling inside, one urging you to rise, the other insisting you stay the same. This battle is not weakness, it is transformation. The old self is fighting for its life because it senses it is about to be replaced. Do not be alarmed by this struggle, it is the evidence of evolution. Write this law: inner conflict is the birth of a new self. Say it until you believe it, for every battle within is a signal that the person you once were is giving way to the person you are destined to be. A practical exercise you can take today is this: the next time doubt, temptation, or inner conflict arises, instead of suppressing it, write down exactly what the voice is saying. Then, in a separate column, write down its opposite truth. If the doubt says, "You are not ready," write down, "I am prepared and equipped." If the temptation whispers, "Take the shortcut," write down, "I am committed to the long road." This simple act of turning lies into declarations of truth reprograms the mind and transforms your enemy into fuel. And if you truly want to strengthen the impact, speak the declaration aloud 3 times each morning. The repetition ingrains it deeper than thought alone. Another undeniable sign that you are approaching victory is the sudden increase in responsibility. Life begins to test if you can carry more by giving you more to carry. You may notice unexpected tasks, heavier demands, and rising expectations at the exact moment when you feel least capable of handling them. Do not interpret this as punishment. It is preparation. Just as a blacksmith tests the strength of metal by striking it, life tests your readiness by adding weight. If you can endure the added responsibility, you prove you can handle the reward. Write this down and repeat it. Responsibility is the training for reward. Let me leave you with one engraved law for this part. Doubt is strongest near destiny. Say it aloud, and if you believe it, write it down where your eyes will see it daily. Doubt is not proof you are failing. It is proof you are advancing. Remember this when the voices grow louder, when the distractions increase, when the inner conflict intensifies. It is all a signal. It is all confirmation. You are far closer to winning than you think. There is a curious paradox that reveals itself only when you are nearing the point of breakthrough. Life begins to feel heavier and lighter at the same time. On one hand, the weight of responsibility, pressure, and obstacles seems almost unbearable. On the other, you catch moments of sudden clarity, surprising peace, and flashes of joy that make no sense given your circumstances. This tension is a sign that you are standing on the border between two identities. The old you is trying to drag you down with familiar burdens, while the new you is whispering freedom into your spirit. When you feel both crushing weight and sudden lightness in the same season, rejoice. It means you are not standing still. It means you are transitioning into victory. Another unmistakable sign is the growing sense of impatience, almost a restless urgency that stirs inside you. You find it difficult to tolerate mediocrity, impossible to settle for less, and unbearable to waste time. To the untrained mind, this impatience looks dangerous, even reckless, but to the wise, it is a compass pointing to change. Impatience grows sharpest when you are closest to crossing into new territory, because your spirit already knows what your eyes cannot yet see, that you are meant for more, and that someday is no longer enough. Do not suppress this impatience. Channel it. Let it propel you into focused action instead of wasted frustration. Write this declaration on your paper and say it aloud. My restlessness is the signal that I am ready. Here is a cultural lie you must cast out forever: the belief that setbacks prove you are not chosen. Nothing could be further from the truth. In reality, setbacks are sacred signs. Every time you stumble, every time you face rejection, every time a plan collapses beneath your feet, life is not closing the door on your destiny. It is redirecting you toward the precise route that will prepare you for it. Think of a pilot who encounters turbulence. He does not turn back to the airport. He adjusts his course and keeps flying. The destination remains unchanged. If you are experiencing repeated setbacks, write it down and declare it. Setbacks are redirections. Say it until you feel its truth, because the next time life detours you, you will not lose heart. You will know you are still on the path. Another sign that winning is near is the sudden appearance of unlikely allies. Just when you feel you have carried the burden alone for too long, unexpected help arrives. It may be a conversation that sparks an idea, a mentor who appears at the right moment, a resource that falls into your lap, or a stranger who opens a door you could not open yourself. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. Life has a way of sending reinforcements to those who are closer than they think. Pay attention. Do not dismiss the people who show up in your life at unexpected times, for they may be the very bridge between where you are and where you are meant to be. Write this down. You unlikely allies are signs of divine timing. But here is the test you must not overlook. When help arrives, pride will try to stop you from receiving it. Pride will whisper that accepting assistance makes you weak. It will tell you that to deserve victory, you must do it all alone. This is false. The greatest achievers in history were not isolated giants. They were leaders who accepted support when it appeared, who built teams, who recognized that no great destiny is fulfilled in solitude. If you reject help out of pride, you may reject the very opportunity meant to carry you across the threshold. So the law you must ingrain is this: receiving help is strength, not weakness. Write it down and say it aloud, because your humility to accept help may be the very sign that your breakthrough is near. Another powerful signal is the emergence of clarity in your vision. For months or even years, the goal may have felt blurry, undefined, or distant, but suddenly the details sharpen. You find yourself able to describe it more clearly, to see the steps more plainly, to feel its reality more strongly. This clarity is not imagination, it is confirmation. The fog lifts only when you are near the destination. Just as the shore becomes visible after miles of open sea, your vision sharpens as you draw closer to its realization. Do not ignore these glimpses. Write them down, expand them, meditate on them, and speak them daily. Each time you affirm your clarified vision, you carve a groove in your mind that pulls you forward. And yet, clarity brings with it a new kind of fear. The dream becomes so real that you begin to worry whether you can carry it. You may ask yourself, what if I fail now? What if I am not enough? What if the responsibility crushes me? This fear is the shadow of your own greatness. Do not confuse it with weakness. Fear often appears in its greatest intensity right before the leap, because the stakes finally feel real. Say this with me now and write it in bold. I will not fear my own greatness. That affirmation is your shield. Every time fear rises, use those words to silence it. Fear is not a stop sign, it is a signal that you are finally standing before something worth fearing. Tonight, I want you to take practical action. Write down 3 areas of your life where you have recently felt restlessness, setbacks, or fear. Then, beside each one, write what sign it might be pointing to. Is restlessness showing you that you are ready? Is a setback redirecting you to a better path? Is fear confirming that your dream is real? This simple practice transforms your interpretation of struggle into recognition of victory. When you change the way you read your life, you change the way your life unfolds. Let me leave you with a final engraved law for this part. The struggle is the signal. Say it aloud now, write it in your notes, comment it if you believe it. The struggle is the signal. Remember this when you are tempted to despair, when the weight grows heavy, when fear whispers in the night. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. And every struggle you face is not proof of distance, but proof of proximity. You are closer than you think. There comes a moment in every pursuit of greatness when the noise around you begins to grow louder than ever before. Suddenly, everyone has an opinion about your path. Some will say you are wasting your time, others will insist you should have achieved more by now, and still others, cloaked in false concern, will suggest that it is safer to give up and return to the familiar. Do not mistake this noise for wisdom. The closer you come to winning, the more resistance rises, not just within you, but around you. Why? Because your progress unsettles those who have chosen to remain stagnant. The noise is not a warning to stop, it is confirmation that you are making waves. The law to write down is simple. Increased noise means increased impact. Say it aloud now, for every word of criticism is proof that your presence is being felt. But here is the subtle trap. Many fall into the temptation of explaining themselves, justifying their choices, or defending their vision. This wastes energy. Remember this truth. Those who are committed to misunderstanding you will not be convinced by your explanations, and those who are meant to understand you need no explanation at all. When you are near breakthrough, your task is not to argue but to act. Your silence will speak louder than their doubts. Your results will silence their noise. Tonight, commit to this discipline. Stop explaining yourself to those who cannot see. Write it in your notes. My schedules will speak for me. Repeat it until the urge to justify disappears, because your focus is too valuable to waste on disbelief. Another powerful sign that you are closer to victory than you realize is the sudden resurfacing of old battles you thought were finished. Past fears, old habits, and lingering weaknesses may rise again, demanding your attention. Do not panic. This is not regression. It is a final test. Just as a locked door must be opened before you enter the next room, these old patterns return to ensure you have truly outgrown them. If anger once controlled you, expect moments that provoke your temper. If doubt once enslaved you, expect whispers of insecurity. If distraction once pulled you away, expect temptations to resurface. These are not punishments, they are checkpoints. Overcome them now, and you prove to life that you are ready for what lies ahead. Write this law down: old battles return when new levels await. And yet there is another signal often overlooked: the acceleration of time. Days feel shorter, weeks pass quickly, and months vanish in what feels like a breath. This sensation is not merely in your head. When momentum builds, time seems to quicken because your focus is sharpened. What once felt sluggish suddenly moves with speed. Pay attention to this acceleration, for it means you are no longer drifting, you are driving. Your life is gathering pace. But here lies the danger. If you do not match this acceleration with discipline, you will crash. The law to engrave is this: momentum demands management. Say it aloud, write it down, comment it if you must. For momentum without order destroys, but momentum with discipline multiplies. Another unmistakable sign you are near breakthrough is that your environment begins to resist you. Technology malfunctions, plans unravel, people cancel, and circumstances seem designed to frustrate you. Many interpret this as bad luck, but the wise know better. The environment tests you to see if your determination can withstand inconvenience. If you collapse at the first sign of frustration, you were not ready. But if you endure the interruptions and adapt, you prove that no external resistance can stop your internal decision. Next time everything seems to go wrong at once, smile, because you are passing through the fire that purifies. Write this in your notes: environmental resistance is the final gate. Practical action is vital here. Tonight, reflect on the noise, the old battles, the acceleration, and the resistance you are experiencing. Choose one, and reframe it as confirmation, not discouragement. If noise surrounds you, interpret it as proof of impact. If old battles return, interpret them as your final test. If time feels faster, recognize it as momentum. This single shift in interpretation will turn despair into fuel and frustration into faith. Your reality is determined less by what happens to you and more by how you interpret it. Train your mind to see signals where others see setbacks. Let me give you a phrase that will engrave itself into your spirit if you let it. I will not be distracted by noise, delayed by old battles, or stopped by resistance. Speak it aloud now, write it in your notes, comment it if you believe it. This declaration will steady you when the storm grows loud, when the past resurfaces, when the days accelerate, and when the environment resists. For all these are not signs of failure, they are the surest signs of proximity. And when you learn to embrace them as evidence, you will carry the unshakable knowledge that your victory is far closer than you think. One of the clearest signals that you are on the verge of winning is the undeniable shift in how you respond to adversity. Where once you would collapse under the weight of problems, now you find yourself calmer, stronger, and more resilient. You notice that things which once terrified you now feel like minor inconveniences. This is not coincidence, this is growth. It is the silent evidence that the muscles of your mind and spirit have been trained by trial. The challenges did not disappear, you simply became larger than them. And that growth is proof that you are being prepared for greater responsibility. Write this truth in your notes and say it aloud: my strength is the sign of my readiness. Every time you remind yourself of this, you anchor the reality that resilience is not just survival, it is the announcement of your victory drawing near. Another unmistakable sign is the sharpening of your desires. At the beginning of a journey, you may want many things. You scatter your attention, chase multiple dreams, and dabble in distractions. But when you near breakthrough, the trivial loses its power. You no longer crave everything. You crave only what aligns with your true purpose. Shallow pursuits no longer excite you. Empty recognition no longer satisfies you, and temporary comfort no longer tempts you. This sharpening is evidence that your heart and mind are aligning with your destiny. It is like a sculptor chipping away excess stone until only the masterpiece remains. If your desires have become narrower and deeper, rejoice, because you are closer than ever. Say this aloud: my desires are aligning with my destiny. But here is the dangerous lie you must avoid. The lie that because you do not have what others have, you are behind. Comparison is the enemy of clarity. It will make you abandon your unique path to chase someone else's shadow. Remember, the seed of a rose does not compete with the seed of an oak. Each has its own season, its own timing, its own expression of beauty. If you compare yourself to another, you rob yourself of the energy needed to cultivate your own garden. When comparison whispers in your ear, answer with this law: I am on my own timeline. Write it in your journal, speak it when you wake, and let it free you from the poison of measuring yourself against others. For comparison is the thief of joy, but truth is the guardian of victory. Another powerful sign you are closer than you think is that small victories begin to multiply. Perhaps your finances improve slightly, perhaps a new connection is made, perhaps you feel more energy in the morning, more discipline in your routine, or more clarity in your mind. Do not dismiss these as minor. They are previews, glimpses, confirmations that you are on the right track. Most people ignore them because they are waiting for the big win, but winners know that little victories are stepping stones to greater ones. Celebrate them, record them, and give thanks for them. Every time you honor a small victory, you invite a larger one. Tonight, write down 3 small wins you have experienced in the last week and let them serve as undeniable proof that momentum is building in your favor. And yet, the closer you get, the louder fear becomes. Fear of responsibility, fear of visibility, fear of losing what you gain. Many interpret this fear as a sign to retreat, but fear is often proof that the dream has become real. Fear only intensifies when the stakes are high. Let it remind you that you are finally standing before something worthy of courage. Say this declaration aloud and write it where you will see it daily. Fear is a signal, not a stop sign. Each time you affirm this, you disarm fear's power and transform it into energy to move forward. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to advance despite it. And that decision is what separates the few who win from the many who quit. Another sign of nearing victory is that your language begins to change. You speak less of excuses and more of responsibility, less of someday and more of today, less of what you lack and more of what you will create. Words are powerful indicators of belief, and belief is the soil from which action grows. If you notice your words shifting, do not dismiss it as coincidence. It is your subconscious revealing that transformation has already begun. Begin to reinforce this shift intentionally. Each morning, declare out loud one sentence that affirms your direction. For example, I am closer to my destiny today than I was yesterday. This daily declaration will train your language to match your future instead of your past. Practical action is essential. Tonight, take a blank sheet of paper and write across the top, "Signs of my victory." Then list every small shift you have noticed in yourself: greater resilience, sharper desires, small wins, changes in language, moments of courage. Keep this list visible. Add to it daily. Soon you will see undeniable evidence that you are not drifting aimlessly, you are progressing with purpose. And every time you read that list, you will remind yourself that the signals are everywhere, pointing to the reality that your breakthrough is not far off. Let me leave you with a final engraved law for this part. Small victories are the shadows of great ones. Say it aloud now, write it, comment it if you believe it. Small victories are the shadows of great ones. Remember this when you are tempted to dismiss the progress you are making. Every small win is a messenger of the larger triumph waiting ahead. And when you recognize them, you will know without doubt you are closer to winning than you think. One of the most powerful signals that your victory is drawing near is the stirring of a deeper purpose within you. What once motivated you, money, recognition, applause, no longer feels like enough. You begin to sense that your work, your struggle, your journey must serve something greater than yourself. This shift is not random. It is a hallmark of those about to step into real success. Because true victory is never small or selfish, it ripples outward, touching lives beyond your own. When you feel your ambition expanding into purpose, understand this: it is proof that your breakthrough will not only elevate you but lift others as well. Write this law in your notes and speak it aloud. Purpose is the currency of victory. Every time you say it, you anchor yourself to the truth that your success must mean more than your survival. Another unmistakable sign is the sudden increase of synchronicity. You begin to notice patterns, alignments, and what some call coincidences that are too precise to ignore. You think of someone and they call you. You need a resource and it appears. You imagine an idea and then encounter it in a book or conversation. These are not accidents. They are confirmations that the current of life is carrying you in the right direction. Many dismiss them as random, but those who win recognize them as signals. They are whispers of alignment. They are clues that the unseen is working in your favor. Write this down now. Alignment precedes arrival. Say it aloud, because every time you notice synchronicity, you are seeing the invisible scaffolding of your victory being built. But let me expose a cultural lie that poisons many. This idea that luck is the key to success. People will see your alignment, your synchronicity, your sudden opportunities, and call it luck. But luck is a word invented by those who do not understand preparation. Nothing arrives by accident. The opportunities appear only because you endured the struggle, cultivated discipline, sharpened your vision, and refused to quit. What others call luck is simply the marriage of persistence and timing. Do not envy the so-called lucky. Envy the persistent, for they are the ones who meet opportunity with readiness. Say this declaration aloud. I do not depend on luck, I depend on law. The laws of persistence, discipline, and focus never fail those who live by them. Another sign you are closer to victory than you think is the collapse of counterfeit dreams. Plans you once clung to may crumble. Goals you once idolized may lose their shine. People you thought you needed may walk away. To the untrained eye, this looks like loss, but in truth it is pruning. The dead branches must fall before the tree can bear fruit. The counterfeit must collapse before the authentic can be built. If you feel as though life is stripping things away, do not resist. It is making room. Write this down and declare it boldly. What falls away was never meant to stay. Say it until you believe it, for the clearing of the old is the undeniable proof of the new. And yet another signal is the rising intensity of your dreams. Not just the dreams you hold while awake, but the visions that invade your sleep. You may wake up with ideas, images, or even warnings that stir your soul. This is not random firing of the brain. This is your subconscious revealing what your conscious mind has buried. Your dreams sharpen because you are closer to the reality they foreshadow. Pay attention. Write them down each morning. You will find clues, directions, and encouragement hidden within them. And each time you record them, you build a map from your inner world to your outer reality. Say this affirmation with me. My dreams are signals of my future. A practical action for today. Carry a small notebook or open a note on your phone and title it Signs of Alignment. Throughout your week, record every small synchronicity, every coincidence, every shift in clarity, every loss that feels like pruning, every dream that feels meaningful. At the end of the week, read them back. You will see a pattern emerge, undeniable evidence that you are not drifting, you are being guided. This practice transforms doubt into faith, and faith into momentum. Let me leave you with a final engraved law for this part. Preparation attracts alignment. Say it now, write it down, and let it settle into your heart. Preparation attracts alignment. When you prepare diligently, life conspires to meet you halfway. The world bends to the will of those who are ready. And if you are noticing these signs, purpose deepening, synchronicity increasing, counterfeits collapsing, and dreams intensifying, it is because you are closer to winning than you have ever been. The final and most undeniable sign that you are closer to winning than you think is the transformation of your identity. You begin to notice that the way you see yourself is no longer the way you once did. You no longer speak of yourself as a struggler, but as a victor in progress. You no longer define yourself by the failures of your past, but by the possibilities of your future. This shift is profound because identity determines destiny. The moment you stop saying, I hope I will, and start saying, I already am, your reality bends to match your belief. If you feel this inner shift, rejoice, because it means your victory is already written. Say this aloud and engrave it on your paper. I am becoming who I was always meant to be. Another unmistakable sign is the emergence of discipline where once there was inconsistency. Habits you used to struggle with suddenly feel natural. You wake up earlier, you focus longer, you waste less. This is not a temporary burst of motivation. It is identity taking root. Discipline becomes less of an effort and more of an instinct. And that is the surest sign of transformation when what once required willpower becomes automatic. Write this law in your notes and speak it daily. Discipline is destiny in motion. Every repetition ingrains the truth that your habits are no longer holding you back. They are carrying you forward. But here is the dangerous falsehood you must reject. The lie that the journey ends at success. Many achieve what they once desired only to discover emptiness because they thought victory was a finish line instead of a doorway. The truth is this: success is not the end. Success is the beginning of responsibility. It is the call to carry more, to give more, to lead more. If you think your battle ends when you arrive, you will not be prepared to sustain what you receive. The true winner understands that victory is not about arrival, but continuation. So when you sense success approaching, prepare not to stop, but to steward. Write this down and say it with conviction. Success is a responsibility, not a resting place. Another sign that you are nearing your breakthrough is the peace that begins to flow through you even in chaos. Where once you panicked at every setback, now you feel a calm assurance that everything is unfolding as it should. This peace does not come from the absence of problems, but from the presence of perspective. You begin to trust the process, even when the process feels difficult. You begin to sense that life is not against you, but for you, not random, but ordered, not chaotic, but designed. That peace is not weakness, it is strength. It is the evidence that your spirit has matured beyond fear. Write this down and affirm it. Peace is the proof of maturity, and every time you feel it, remind yourself that it means your victory is near. Another powerful sign is the growing urge to give. When you were far from victory, you thought only of survival, only of taking. But as your breakthrough approaches, you feel a rising desire to contribute, to share, to lift others. This urge is not accidental. It is proof that abundance is drawing closer, because the heart always expands before the harvest arrives. Generosity is the rehearsal for prosperity. When you feel compelled to give, it is because life is preparing you to receive more than enough. Say this aloud and write it. Generosity is the signal of abundance. If you feel this urge, honor it, because giving now opens the channel for greater receiving. A practical action for today is this. Write a letter to your future self, not asking for victory, but thanking yourself for having already won. Describe the discipline you kept, the battles you overcame, the growth you achieved, and the blessings you received. Read it every morning for the next 30 days. This practice trains your identity to live as though you have already arrived, and identity always precedes reality. The world cannot resist a person who has already accepted their destiny within. Now let me leave you with the engraved law that will close this message. I am already living my victory. Say it aloud now. Write it boldly. Comment it if you believe it. I am already living my victory. This is not empty affirmation. It is the deepest truth of your journey. The signs have been given, the path has been laid, and the evidence is all around you. You are closer to winning than you think. And now, with identity transformed, discipline rooted, peace established, and purpose alive within you, you can walk forward not in doubt but in certainty. For your victory is not far,